that music told me that there was freedom somewhere else and that I'm not free. When I had just turned 14, did one of those 8-hour speeches, and in the speech he says, and from now on, the young men of Cuba from the age of 15 are in the military. They're not leaving anywhere. Nobody can leave. I remember being in martial law and not having TV anymore. We get on the plane, on the American Airlines plane to go to LA. This plane had TVs. It blew my mind.
I am here visiting with Luis Conte. We're going to call this podcast The Rhythm of the American Dream. Luis, what a privilege to sit down with you. You're one of the most respected percussionists here in the world and known for your incredible rhythm and collaboration with music legends like Phil Collins, Elton John, Eric Clapton, Shasha Khan, James Taylor, just to name but a few. But before all that, you were a very young man with a dream when you left Cuba to start a new life here. Can you maybe take us back a moment, back into the day in your life in Cuba before you came here to the United States?
Sure. I was born in Santiago de Cuba, which is second largest city of Cuba, southeast of the island, kind of north of Jamaica. And, my dad was a doctor. And my mom has studied law, but she never practiced law because once the communists came in, there was, lawyers. Anyway, she never practiced. She was a housewife. And I grew up, if my dad would not have been a doctor, he would have been a musician. So I grew up around music. My whole family, especially my father's side of the family, very musical. They all played instruments. So I grew up in a music, just being a kid, but with music around me all the time. And of course, during that time, I was born in 51. So when the revolution came, the Castro Revolution and all that, I remember not having being in martial law and not having TV anymore, and my dad listening to the shortwave radio and et cetera, et cetera. And then Castro won and lied to everyone, as we know, and became a dictator. The country became a communist country. So now, I grew up with very happy child life up until the time I left. But once the communism came in, then there were things that started to happen that I noticed that wasn't, even at a young age. I must have been, 59? I was, 10 years old. So by the time I was 12, 13, 14, I'm going like, in school we would have like indoctrination classes, and we'd be telling you about all these, how the Americans are bad and the imperialism and we're communists, etc. So I grew up, that whole thing started messing with my head. And I remember coming home from school and my dad knew the real truth. And I would ask my dad, hey, Dad, did this really? So we got to sit down. I got to explain to you this thing. So that started messing with me, knowing that I wasn't in a really good place. Living here, being here, except this is where my family is, we shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And on top of that, then there was music. Music came along, as I said, it's such a big part of me since I was a little kid. We heard about a band called the Beatles. The island was so closed up. We were so closed up that we had no idea of what was going on. I found out about the Beatles with a friend of ours that was able to leave with his family a few years before, sent one of my best friends a letter and had a bubblegum card with a picture of the Beatles. And the letter said, this is what's happening now. These guys are called the Beatles. And we're like, what? That's how closed up we were.
Wow.
So I started investigating because of the music. We started, us young guys and we started listening to, besides my sister having Elvis Presley and Bill Haley and the Comet Records and all this stuff, I was listening to rock and roll and all this stuff. This Beatle thing became like a thing, so shortwave radio. And so long story short, that music told me that there was freedom somewhere else and that I'm not free. I could just I was like, what do you know when you're 14? You don't know anything, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what was telling me. And then what happened? Castro made a speech. Just so happened when I had just turned 14, did one of those 8-hour speeches, and in the speech he says, "And from now on, the young men of Cuba, from the age of 15, are in the military. They're not leaving anywhere. Nobody can leave." So that's
So in other words, you can't leave the country. You will not. Wow. And you have to sign up for the military.
You automatically, you're automatic. If you assign in school, you're in the military. You know, it's just, we had a thing that was called in Spanish the cara al campo. This is a thing that was happening in the summertime. The cara al campo, it means facing the fields. So they would pick up the kids on trucks and they would take us out to the field to like plant corn or cut sugar cane, and they destroyed the crops of Cuba because they were doing this. We had no idea. I went out there to cut sugar cane. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I was looking after little Lucy back over here, you know. I could care less. But you were forced to do things like that. It was terrible, man. And you know, if you didn't go, then you didn't graduate. You know, you don't pass your class. Oh no, yeah, this you're forced to do that. And my dad, being a doctor, you know, with doctor excuses and all this stuff, he tried to get me off of some of the things, and some of them worked, some didn't. Anyway, that's my story. That's my story down there. And I knew through music, really, that this is not happening. Where I was not happening.
Yeah. And so, Luis, then what happened? How were you then able to escape that situation then out of Cuba? I mean, if there's no travel or anything, and they're going to force you into the military, how did you then get out of there?
Yeah, well, if it was before, if I could leave before I was 15, I was okay.
Oh, okay.
It's 15 that you were.
Yeah.
So I was just turned 14. So what happened was my dad, I told my dad, Dad, did you hear that? I remember this. I was in my dad's car. We were driving somewhere without my mom. And I said, "Hey, Dad, did you hear the speech that happened?" Because that's what I was thinking about. I got to go see the Beatles. You know, I want to be free, man. And I said, "Did you hear that speech?" You know, he said, "If you're 15, you can never get out of here, Dad. I want to be in the military." He goes, "Yeah, I've been thinking about the same thing. Haven't said anything yet, but I'm getting ready to speak with your mom. We got to get you out of here."
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going, "Yeah, but you guys are gonna come too, you know, right? You come." And he went like, "Well, I'm a doctor. They're not gonna let me out now."
Yeah.
And so, but don't worry, you know, 6 months or so, we'll be out there. It's just gonna take time. We got to get you out. Yeah, it took 7 years later, 6 years and a half later is when they were able to get out. But anyway, so my dad, he knew people in the revolution because he had helped the revolution where the revolution was the real revolution.
Sure.
And because of that, he was able to get me. I didn't even have a passport. Why would they give me a passport if they want me to go up? So he was able to get me a passport, and I don't know how he did the you know, how do you say trámites in English? You know, all the proceedings that you needed to do.
Sure.
I'm not sure how he did all this.
Yeah.
But he was able to get me either a flight out to Spain. Those are the only freedom flights were to Spain and to Mexico.
And you call it freedom flights.
Yeah. I don't know if the government of Cuba called them freedom flights, but we call them freedom flights.
Sure.
So my flight was to Spain.
Yeah.
But there was never a thought of doing anything illegal. Everything is, you know, we're going by the book.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. And Spain and Mexico was one of those obviously Spanish countries that would reach out to folks like yourself who found themselves in this no choice solution option, and trying to provide some solutions to some of the native Spanish-speaking people in Cuba to come and find shelter over there. So they were able to get you on a freedom flight, and you went over to Spain.
My birthday is November 16th, and I left on October 10th. So 1 month and 1 week. I never meet Leon. Or hear the Beatles or see the Dodgers. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, on that flight, there was 2 other boys, and they put us 3 in the same row. And one of those boys, his birthday was the next day.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. So Luis, you guys, so there was like some kind of a refugee camp or some sort where the Spanish government were taking in some of these kids from Cuba at the time then.
Yeah, I was very blessed in what happened. Thanks to my mom and dad, my father, they're my heroes, man. My father, what happened, we're gonna go back to Cuba a little bit before I leave now. During that year of trying to get everything together, one day my dad says, "We're flying to Havana."
Okay.
And it has to do with your exit. Okay, well, sure. I figure I'm going to the government thing, and we end up going to the Cathedral of Cuba, and he has an audience with myself. It's my dad, myself, and the Archbishop of Cuba. I had no idea that my dad had been like a very devout Catholic and part of a Catholic Opus Dei kind of thing. And we now have I have an audience with the Archbishop, and they're talking. And so basically what my dad was doing was trying to arrange that when I got to Spain, I wouldn't just be going as just like a refugee, on the bus to the refuge.
Sure.
Someone would take care of me. So some Jesuits came to pick me up at the airport. So I didn't go straight to there was a refugio, the refuge, which is Escorial. Although once they picked me up and I had a place to stay and they fed me and etc. They took me the next day. They took me to where all the immigrants would go. The Cubans would go and talking about $5, getting some clothes because it was cold.
Yeah, sure.
October already, really cold for me. I was coming
from Cuba. It's a little bit chilly.
Cold, man. And and they would give you 575 pesetas, which is the currency at the time of Spain before the euro. Okay. Now, I'm 15 and I'm going 575 pesetas. I'm killing it. This is like $575. I'm gonna get me a real nice coat that really fits.
Spend it all.
Yeah, I'm doing my thing. And at first, I go for a walk and I look. The first store I see like the thing is like 5,000 or 10,000 pesetas. I can't buy anything. 575 was at the time it was 60 pesetas to $1. So it was less than $10. That's how I got started. $10, less than $10, and I had a bag. Oh, when you left on a freedom flight, the Cubans only allowed you to leave with 25 pounds, and your suitcase could not weigh more than 25 pounds.
Okay.
So my aunts made me a duffel bag made out of like just as light as it could be, so I could put as much clothes as I could in there.
Okay.
And that's what I had, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so they accepted you then in a Jesuit group there in Spain, and so how long were you in Spain then?
I stayed in Spain, and it was a funny thing that happened. It was at the same time this old man who ended up being my guardian, or the father of my guardian in the States. He also left within a couple of weeks, and his situation. This is the situation. The situation for underage kids at the time, as a law of the United States, if you were leaving from a communist country, from behind the Iron Curtain, you have a visa to come in right away. But I was supposed to be staying with this guy that came. It's a long story. It's like a third cousin of my dad, and there was a thing that happened where he said, "Well, you got to go. When you got to wait till I go and I get to the States." So I ended up waiting almost 4 months in Spain to go to the United States, and I ended up coming to Hollywood.
So, Luis, so the route there was because of this refugee program, the Cuban refugee program that was in fact in place by the United States to help some of those who wanted to escape the Iron Curtain, as you call it, come out from behind there. This was a legal pathway to kind of follow up on that route in order to come into the United States.
Right. Because
go ahead.
Yeah, because the plan from the first thing was, I mean, get me out of Cuba, but you're going to the United States.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
That was my family's plan and what they wanted, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah. And so what was the plan going to be then once you get to the United States?
So once I get to the United States, I was the son of this man that came to Spain, whose name was, recently he passed away. His name was actually Luis Conte also.
Oh.
Yeah. But like a third cousin side of the far away side of the family. Anyway, this guy had been in the United States, had come to the United States before Castro and all that to study, and he had made a life in the United States.
Okay.
Originally in New York, and then after the fact, by the time I got there, him and his wife had moved to California. So this guy, this other Luis, I had to get an affidavit from him and all these things, arranged at the American embassy that was going to be, I had a guardian and somewhere to go in the States. And once I had that, I was cool to come,
Yeah.
That's the story.
And so Luis, then you ended up here at the age of 15, 16, and you moved directly to LA. Is that where other Luis was staying?
15. I was 15. It was January 26. I stepped on the U.S. January 26, 1967. I left in October 10, 66. So January, and then on January 27th, I arrived in Hollywood, because this guy, talk about the Lord being after you, looking after you. I came to the entertainment city. I didn't even know I wasn't going to be in entertainment. And this dude lived in Hollywood.
Oh, cool is that?
Right in the
center. It is so amazing, God says in his word, he's already got plans for you before you even conceived. Here you are, ending up your life story, ending up here in Hollywood and where you're at today. How amazing is that?
I'm telling you.
And sometimes you try to figure him out. You're like, okay, so how is this next step going to work? And you're like, I don't know, and I should not care because I'm going to trust him. He's got a plan for me. I don't have a plan for myself. And then when you end up going to Spain, you're like, hold on a second, does God know really what he's doing? Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. Oh my goodness, I know, man. It's crazy.
So Luis, so tell me, so did you come through New York and then hopped over to LA? Because that's a long flight going all the way from Spain.
Yeah, the flight was Madrid. I believe it was Iberia, the airline, to stop in New York, and then we took an American airline flight. Yeah, we slept. I was with the father of my cousin, of my third cousin, and we slept that night there in New York. We had to take the next flight was the next day. Yeah. We came in American Airlines, and landing here was a shock, man. I'm telling you.
I can imagine, yeah, because some of our listeners don't know is that you guys were totally isolated from westernized TV. So here you are coming from Cuba, landing in New York City, and never seen anything like that. Much more less imagine something like that. Is that right?
I mean, everything was. Look, I remember I had not noticed the first time I noticed a automatic door, like a glass door. I go in. What is that? Man, there's a few things. Like another one I would tell you is funny. I mean, but to me, so we arrived in New York, and we get to I don't remember how we get to this hotel. This must have been this friends of his. I don't know. Anyway, all I know is we're in this hotel, and then he says, okay, we're going. They knew these guys, these people, a family. They picked us up, and I don't know where it was. It might have been in New Jersey or Brooklyn or the Bronx. I have no idea. So I'm in this house. I'm jet lagged, but I'm in this house. And there's some young kids like my age. Oh, yeah, right away, you gravitate, you start talking about, come on, let's go to a liquor store. They go to a liquor store,
Sure.
and they get some Cokes, and I got a bag of barbecue potato chips.
Okay.
I'm going, this is the greatest tasting thing. What is this, man? Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, you tell the story as if it happened yesterday. And it's so amazing, the significant impact that us as foreigners have. You remember, it's such a big journey that, you remember distinctly things during that process that you wouldn't have otherwise known, through some other process that you would have gone through. It's just so great to hear you. So tell me now, during the time that you lived in LA, was there ever a time? So did you go back to school, and what happened then after that?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you before we get to that. I just remember another thing I have to tell you.
Yeah.
When we get on the plane, on the American Airlines plane to go to LA, this plane had TVs. And we're showing, I don't know if you ever saw a show called The Monsters.
No, I don't think I have.
It was this is the 60s. It's like the Addams Family kind of a show.
Okay.
It's called The Monsters. And everybody was green, and the makeup. And I'm watching this, it's like, what am I watching? And because I had not watched TV, and then there's a laugh track. So it's like, it's a funny thing. And I don't know what they're saying, but people are going, they're laughing. It's like, just blew my mind. Anyway, so I get to California, to Hollywood. I also remember, of course, music is always remember musical things, and there was a lot of musical things in Spain. But here in Hollywood, I remember when they picked me up, the radio, the Luis's wife was a Jewish American lady that spoke perfect Spanish. Her job was she was a social worker.
Okay.
And Luis was a supervisor at a rental car, like I think Avis rental car or something. Anyway, he had a brand new Buick Electra 2025. I had not seen a car except for European cars. I wanted to see American cars. I had not seen been an American car that was built after 1959 ever. This is a Buick Electra 225, man. It was like a boat. I was sitting in the back, and she loved music. She put the radio on, and it was R&B music, which I had not really listened to that much. It was a four-top.
Gotcha.
So as we're driving into town, we go by the Capitol building. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been to LA and you've seen the Capitol building, which is where Capitol Records was, which is
Capitol Records. Oh, okay, yeah.
It's called the Capitol building. And I remember my cousin saying, "Hey, you see that building? We're getting off the freeway. See that building right there? It's built after a stack of records."
Records, yeah.
The thing is the needle. I go like, "Oh, no kidding." Things like that. And needless to say, many years later, I had the blessing of, like, when I did one of my albums, I was actually mixing my record at Capitol Records.
How cool is that? Wow.
Talk about winning.
You knew that you were at the right place where you were driving by a building that looks like records.
Yeah. So I get to the house, and it must have been on a weekend because Lola, that was his wife's name, we called her Lola, says, "Listen, if you go out the street," this is really funny, "if you go up the street, which is Wilcox, make a right, you're going to see a big avenue. That's called Sunset. You're going to go left, and once you pass a church on the right-hand side, there's this big buildings there, this building. That's going to be your high school. We're going to take you there and sign you up. So get up there." So the first thing that happens, I get out, and I get to Sunset. I make a left. And now remember, in Cuba, we were living on rationing cards. you couldn't just go to a store and buy anything you wanted or a pair of shoes that you need. And a car or a van pulls up, and these two girls come out with bell-bottom pants and no shoes. The hippies. And I don't know what's going on. I go like, you can't buy shoes here either? Wait a minute, what am I doing here? True story, man.
Oh, that is funny.
Yeah. And then, I walked over and I walked to the building. I looked at my school. I said, well, I guess I'll go to school. And came back. And I put on the television. Okay, you can watch TV, And right away, what do? I try to find the Spanish station. I don't understand nothing. And this lady, I thank her for that so much, because she walked in and he says, what are you doing? I says, just watching TV. He says, well, you can watch TV, but you can't watch that station. I said, but I don't understand anything. Well, you never will. Watch whatever else you want, any other thing that's on TV, but you can't watch the Spanish station. And that's how I learned English, man. Watching TV and sitting with her, and she would watch Walter Cronkite every night. And all the TV shows, like the time. And I was speaking English in 3 months.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely a way to immerse yourself. And especially, when you get to follow along with the with a storyline and a TV, and then immerse yourself in a school. I take it the school was also just English. It wasn't English and Spanish, or was it?
Well, this is what happened. It's also my way of being. What happened was they put me, when they signed me up, they had it was called NES, which is called non-English speaking. They would
okay.
Yeah. And right during that semester, I guess it wasn't politically correct or something, they changed it to ESL, English as a Second Language. But I went for 1 semester. And I told Lola and Luis, I said, because they were putting us, I had math 1 class. In Cuba, I had taken algebra, I had taken geometry, And
that's why they got the best doctors over in Cuba.
and I wanted to,
early. Yeah.
I wanted to get ahead, I don't want to, I'm a go getter, man. I already know this.
Yeah.
So they asked, and they put me, I don't know how it happened, but I was able to go into the general population. By the second semester I was there.
Oh, wow, man. That's fast.
Yeah. I was speaking English. I already was speaking English in 3 months, so I was speaking pretty well. And I just went in and regular class. And
so, Luis, did you then participate in any sports, or did you play in a band, or what did you do with your music talents at school?
Well, here's the thing. This is the difficult part, because if you put yourself in a happy 15-year-old child with their parents and their family, and all of a sudden you're somewhere else completely different that you like, because I liked the U.S. and I love the music and I love the culture and the people and everything, but these people weren't really my family. They were my family, but I didn't know these people.
Sure.
So I was kind of like in limbo. I could play chess. I was a good chess player, so I joined the chess club.
Okay.
But I also, now that I'm old, I understand why. I wanted to play sports, and they wouldn't let me play. My guardian, they would not sign off for me to play sports. So I was troubled. I was bugged. But I understand why now. I'm taking care of this kid that's not even my child. He's gonna go out there and play football and crack his head. It's my responsibility. I understand it. Now I understand. But back then, no, I didn't. I wasn't allowed to play sports. I did good. I was pretty good in some things. I was fast, and they wanted me to be in the track team, but I could never get signed off. So I played chess and started playing guitar, because I played the guitar also. I got a guitar, but I didn't really join a band or anything like that until my whole life. For those first 3 years I was here, they were kind of put on hold a little bit, I feel like.
Gotcha.
And when I became 18 and I left the house, it all exploded. I went
And
in.
then when you say exploded, what does that mean?
It just went, you know, I want to play music. I figured I said, I want to be a musician. I want to play music.
Gotcha.
I want to do this. I want to do that, you know.
Yeah. And so was there a specific school that you went to in order to further your career in the music industry?
Well, I went to Los Angeles City College because I had no money.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a job at bagging groceries at a supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a roommate. Our rent was $120 a month, $60 each back in the day. And you know, but I had nothing. I had a guitar. I didn't even have drums. And but I wanted to play music. I didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
So I also had this other thing where I promised my dad that I would become a professional.
Okay.
You know, my parents, they brought me up really well, man. I really always respected them, and I wanted to always do what's best. So, you know, I thought maybe I'm going to be a doctor. I don't know.
Okay.
So I'm going to take biology and anatomy, but then I'm going to take musicianship 1 and piano 1, you know, and join the percussion ensemble. It was like this kind of soup.
Gotcha.
But by the grace of God, I mean, I have a certain kind of talent that is real natural. And within a year of that, I was playing gigs. I was starting to play, so I didn't go to school anymore.
And the gigs playing percussionist, playing guitar, playing percussionist.
Playing percussion, you know, in clubs and, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I was making whatever it was at this place, making $50, clearing $50 a week, and I could make 75 or $100 working 2 nights. You know, it's like it's a no-brainer to do that. Plus
it is, especially $160 for rent.
I was cleaning up, man.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the story.
So the gigs then just started developing. Now, before we kind of go from there, during this time, was it at any given point in time? I mean, this must be very tough. You're separated from your mom and from your dad. Were you able to keep in touch with them during this time that you were at high school?
The only way to get in touch with my parents was through letters. There was no phone calls allowed or a telegram. And I had no money to be sending telegrams. So once in a while, I would get you know, when my grandparents, each one of my grandparents passed away, I had never, my grandparents on my father's side, I never saw again. You know, your grandpa died, you know, telegrams. Other than that, it was a letter. And I would get letters from my mom and dad, you know, and I would like write back to them. But sometimes I would write to them. I would try to write to them every week. This is before I'm 18, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I would get letters from my mom that say, "We haven't heard from you, and like it's been over a month. I haven't gotten a letter from you." I mean, the country of the Cubans would like throw them away, just you know, stuff like that. But that was the only way I communicated was. I knew it was hard, man.
Yeah, I can imagine how tough that must be, Luis. Did you ever was there ever some point in time where you're like, you know what, this is just not worth it. Let me figure out a way to rather go back to Cuba and go sign up for the military as long as, you know, at least I can be with my parents?
There was definitely a time where I was living in Hollywood and I said, you know, I want to go back to Cuba.
Yeah.
There was a time. I really, it was horrible, man. That separation.
Yeah.
You know.
And so what helped you during those times to keep the course? Because in hindsight now, you can see the vision that your dad and your mom had, obviously just wanting to have the best for you and knowing that America at that point in time was going to be where you're going to flourish. It's just Cuba's not going to be a. What carried you through some of those times where it was so tough?
I think just having that thought of like, it's not going to be better now back over there. I just got to maintain here because I can get through this and it will happen. I would keep fighting. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
Not knowing what I was going to be, if I'm going to be a doctor or a carpenter, but I'm going to make it, and it's going to be better, and it's going to be better for everybody because I'm going to be able to get everybody out of there.
That's right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Unless Castro, fell apart and it became free again. I mean, I'm going to get them out. So no matter what, yeah, I want to go back, but it's like, I like it, but it's like nonsense. This just could not happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the thing to do. I don't know what would make me think that, but I just knew it,
So your sheer determination of needing to make this work, doesn't matter what it takes, was going to have the end of it was going to like either Castro's, the regime is going to fall and hopefully, and then I can join my parents again. Or if it doesn't, I'm going to figure out a way like my dad figured out with me to get them out from out. But it's now up to me and I need to make it work.
That's right. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Wow. And would you say that determination made you even more determined than the next musician standing next to you complaining about the $50 that he got or $20 that he got instead of $100?
Probably. I think so, man. It's a whole other spot.
Yeah.
To be in that spot is, definitely.
So, Luis, at what point in time did your parents then ultimately did they ever come to the United States?
Yeah, they came in 1972.
Okay.
So I left in 66. So they came in 72 and they were able, my mom and my dad passed away now, and I never really did ask. I should ask my sister really how he worked it out, but he was able. They left just like I left.
Yeah,
they
figured out a way.
They went to Spain, but they were in a refuge. They went to the refuge.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then I claimed them, and they came.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Luis, that I would assume just light the spark from where you're at. Now you've got a proud dad and your parents are over here, and that probably just skyrocketed your career from there on. Say, look what I've been doing and where I'm going. Or how long did it take then to kind of get to the point where some famous musicians or where you would go to the studio to start recording?
Yeah, I mean, my parents coming over here is like if I had been like holding my breath, and now I just went.
Yeah.
It was that. No matter what, And we got an apartment together, and apartment, and my dad, they started going. My dad began he had to like pass tests and stuff like that.
Sure.
So it took him a little bit, and he started practicing and stuff like that. But it was just, but I mean, music is not easy, so it's not like I was doing that. I was doing that. I mean, I was working, I was playing, but I mean, I'm still doing that. I don't know if I ever made it. You know what I mean? It's just doing it.
Well, other people would seem to differ.
Well, yeah, I guess. But I was in the right place in the right time in many spots. In some spots, and it's probably because of the Lord, man. And I just practice, and you have to like whatever it is. If you're going to be a lawyer or you're going to be a musician or you're going to be a baseball player, you got to work on what you're doing. You know, just sit back and things are going to happen. Just like
for sure.
Just
like with anything in life, That's
so I saw a light down there somewhere. I said, I'm going over there, and I'm gonna get hit over here, get a ball, but I'm gonna get over there.
So, Luis, where would you say was the first encounter where you know that, all right, this is no longer a $50, $20 gig that you're doing, where you feel like, okay, well, listen, this is taking it to the next level? Was it a musician that invited you to partake in something? Was it what was that first thing that you think?
Well, the first thing, which was I was able to start traveling,
Okay,
and go and playing,
sure,
not in clubs,
yeah,
And what happened was, it's Q music is a networking kind of a thing. It's who you
sure,
know, who you play with, and they hear you play. And especially if you're new when you're real young, you gotta show people that you can play.
that's right.
So I started hanging out in clubs and this and that. And there was this particular club called Chesapeake. It was down on Pico in Vermont, which is now a ghetto. But back then there was a little Latin club, and it was playing Cuban music. And I started going down there, and I would sit in. Hey, you guys let me play, And just so happens that there's a musicians union in the United States. We have a union, but the union does nothing. Okay, let's just But me being 18 or 19, I'm going, well, there's a union. If I go to the union, I'll get a job. They'll help me get a job, which is not the case. But guess what? The day I go to the union, I run into one of these guys that was playing at that club.
Yeah.
That I would often go to. And his name was Johnny Cheddar. And Johnny goes, hey, Luis, how you doing? Hey, Johnny, how are you? Hey, what are you doing? He says, nothing, man. I see if I get a gig, He says, well, listen, there were these people here looking for somebody to play. They say they have a record, and it's kind of a hit, and they're going to go to New York. Really? I said, are you going? I said, no. Call them up. Here's the number. So I called up. I went to a payphone back in the day. I called up. He answered the phone. Yeah, hello. Hey, my name is so. I heard you're looking for a percussionist. He goes, yeah, we're auditioning. We're auditioning right now. Where are you at? He goes, I'm in Hollywood. He says, okay, well, if you can get over here, here's the address. I didn't even have a car. I had a motorcycle. I had to call a friend of mine. So, hey, man, help me out. Get my congas over there. I played for them, and that group was it was a trio, 2 men and a lady, and they were called the Hughes Corporation. And the hit song is Rock the Boat. I'd like to know where you got the ocean.
That's right.
Rock the boat, baby. Those guys.
Yeah.
And the record was climbing up the charts. And by the time the first gig was in New Jersey, and we played in New Jersey, we played the Apollo Theater in New York, we played in Cherry Hill, New Jersey also, we played in Philadelphia. It was like 4 places we played.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we got there, Rock the Boat was a hit. Wow. So then now we're doing, the Midnight Special and Don Kirshner in concert and the ABC in concert and all these TV that Soul Train. I'm going like, whoa. That was my first. Okay.
How awesome is that? And then from there, when you would go take another interview, they would ask, well, what songs have you played on? Well, have you heard the song Rock the Boat Baby?
I play on these guys. Yeah. But it's like music is, there's a thing. Being an artist is a weird thing because you're only an actor is only as good as their last picture, and the musician is only as good as the last phone call. And you just gotta keep going, just straight ahead. Yeah. And it helps, to have things to your. But listen, I mean it takes a long time. These are great gigs, but like big, that's a big gig, but big things. I ended up working with them. I worked with Diana Ross. I worked with the Supremes. I worked with Doc Severinsen from The Tonight Show, et cetera, et cetera. But the big thing was Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I got that gig, and it was kind of like worldwide, and then people wanted to record on everything they had on, so it's all related,
And tell me, so with the Madonna, how did that come about?
That came about, well, a big lesson to everyone in life is be a nice guy. It's as simple as that. Be a good person.
Yeah.
Don't have an ego, just be cool.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine invites me. There's a bass player, local bass player,
Mm-hmm.
who's originally he's New Yorker. He was born in New York. He's part Puerto Rican, and him and his brother. They said, "Hey, man, my mom and dad are coming to visit from Puerto Rico, so Christmas Eve we're gonna have a big hangout and have the roast pork and the whole thing that we have. We have if you want, come. You're invited to come."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I went there, and there weren't that many people. There was just them and 2 or 3 other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already playing with Doc Severinsen. I'm playing with Diana Ross. I'm playing with all these people. I could have just been like, hey, I'm hot shit.
Yeah.
I'm just like everybody, and we got along. Everybody got along great, and we had a great time. We didn't even talk about music. And a few days later, I get a call, and one of those guys that was at the party was a guy named Michael Bloom, was the right-hand guy for Pat Leonard's producer, Pat Leonard. And they say, hey, listen, Luis, remember me, Mike Bloom, I met you at the party, Oh, yeah, man, what's happening? He says, listen, Madonna is auditioning for percussionists. Would you want to come do an audition? And my first question was, because I was already working with a bunch of people. It was, well, if it's a cattle call, that's what we call a cattle call. It's like they call a lot of people. How many people are auditioning? I said, no. We're only auditioning 3. There's only 3 guys going to be auditioning, you and 2 others. I go, okay, I'll come. So he sent me the songs to practice to, and I went there. And the cool thing was, when I got this place where rehearsal was and the audition, they were basically rehearsing, and they were going to have myself play with them that day, and the next day they were going to have Joe, whoever was going to come, and Harry, the next guy, whoever. So I was the first guy in the first day. Little did I know, this place had a stage where all the percussion is, all the instruments, and there's a balcony up there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know, I get there early, make sure my stuff, I send somebody to send my stuff up. I had a roadie by the time, at that time already. And my stuff all set up, make sure it's all tweaked up and ready to go. And the drummer, Jonathan Moffett, walks in, who I didn't know. I knew who he was, famous guy. And he gets behind these drums and goes, hey, man, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Hey, nice to meet you. Hey, nice meeting you. And he starts tweaking, and then he starts playing. So I start playing with him, just him and I. And it went on for a while, and guys started walking in and stuff like that, and then we stopped. And right after we stopped, we hear a voice from up there in the balcony that says, hey, that was freaking, not in those words.
Yeah.
Awesome. And that was Madonna.
Wow.
I had no idea. We didn't know she was up there. She had gotten there early, and she was just sitting up there in the couch reading or something. And she heard it. So by that time, I played the rest of the day, and I talked to Pat, the musical director, when I was leaving. Okay, man, well, let me know what happens. And Pat said, listen, man, don't worry about a thing. I can't tell you.
We're not going to invite the other guys. Let me just tell you that.
Yeah, you're right. So,
wow.
That's
and so you went on tour then with her?
Yeah.
And what are some of the songs that you did that you played percussions on?
We played from Papa Don't Preach to Holiday, and Live to Tell, and Vogue, depends on what year it was.
Yeah.
All of those. And then after that, did that, I recorded Like a Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I recorded that record and recorded all the other records that came along after that. Frozen. Yeah. And we traveled the world, man.
You did. Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
And Luis, so after that, what would you say is the other artist that you also said, man, it was kind of wild to travel with, or be part of this group or with this artist?
Well, somebody that huge, Phil Collins.
Phil Collins, yeah.
Is another one,
I mean, and Phil obviously has let's just say, is a different ear for drummers and percussionists.
What makes it extra special because special and different, Because let's say, working with Madonna, working with James Taylor, these guys are, well, James is a musician to a guitar player, but these guys are, Michael Jackson, whatever. They're artists and they're singing.
Yeah.
This is a singer that plays drums and a great drummer.
Yeah.
He's actually a drummer before he's a singer.
Mm-hmm.
He told me that himself. All he wants to do is play the drums. So their relation is even cooler. It's a whole other kind of. It's
highest compliment.
It's really great, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something that happened when the very first time when we're going out there. We're rehearsing, and 2 or 3 days into rehearsal, in the middle of the night, I get a call in the hotel room, and it's Phil. And this is how cool he was. He was like, "Hey, Luis, hey man, listen, I never had a percussionist in the band. So, he's the boss, right? But he goes, I never had a percussionist in the band. So we always do a drum thing in the show. But now we have a percussionist, and just you. So I don't know what would make it be comfortable for you. So if you can put something together that would be comfortable for you, let me know."
No pressure.
No pressure. but the fact that he's allowing me the choice of what we're gonna do.
Sure.
It's not him saying, "Okay, now we're gonna do this." It's my band. We're gonna do this. Do something. Let me see what we can do that is comfortable for you.
Wow.
Yeah. So immediately oh yeah, it's beautiful. That night, man, I sat down, I put something together. I called our sound man. I said, "Hey, Kobe, we gotta get there. Let's get to rehearsal like an hour earlier. I want to record this thing. I've done this thing that Phil wants to hear. I want to record this thing for Phil." So we rehearsed, and at the end of the rehearsal, I went up to Phil like, "Hey, Phil, that thing you asked me about, that thing? I got something put together." He was surprised. It's really so soon? He goes, "Yeah, man. Come on, let's check it out." He loved it, and that's what you see. If you see the video back into the light tour, that's when you see the drum percussion thing, is the thing I put together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, phenomenal.
Luis,
it's outstanding. There's a lot of these other guys that you've also played with.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
You currently tour. You still tour with James Taylor, or is there some other guys that you tour with?
I tour with James, mostly with James now. Phil retired, and I'm getting up in age too, man. So it's like I've traveled it all. I've done it all.
Yeah.
Not all, because I never played with the Beatles.
I was just gonna ask you.
I met Paul and Ringo, but I never were able to play with them. But I've done not all. I've played with a lot of artists, and I've traveled the world with a lot of them.
Sure.
So that end of that is, it is still exciting, but it's, I like being home.
Yeah.
I have a studio. I don't know if you see my studio here. I was just recording, just working.
Mm-hmm.
I just released a new record. I live in the United States. I'm free.
I'm free. I love it.
I'm free, man.
This place. A lot of people who live here, they don't appreciate, what we have outside. And you have to come from outside to know what we have over here, to really appreciate what we have. Don't you think so?
I totally, man, I go through this every day with locals, with Americans. And you guys have no idea. You have no idea, man. You have no idea what freedom is.
Yeah.
You don't have any idea.
Well, Luis, let me ask you this. There are some folks who obviously are standing at the front of this journey. They're either at the front, at the start of this journey where they planning on doing something. Obviously, things have changed, We've got wars in different countries. We've got countries in different situations now, and so on and so forth. And then there are also some folks who have started walking the journey, and they are currently here. But for those who are thinking about this journey, do you have any kind of insight, thoughts that you would share from your end for a new immigrant who's considering coming to the United States?
Oh man, I mean, I say do everything in honesty, with true honesty, and go through the proper channels, even though it may seem hard and may take longer. Do the things the right way,
Mhm.
and always stay positive,
Yeah.
and know that, I mean, if you are coming to this country, I mean, you got to work. Things are not given to you.
Mhm.
Everything I have, everything you have, everything we all have is we got because we worked. So
Yeah.
I say this because I know some immigrants, like Cuban immigrants, stuff like that, they grew up so long in communism that they go over here and they're in shock, Well, you got to work for everything here, So I said, well, yeah, you must work and work hard and stay positive, man.
Yeah.
That's what I say,
And for those who are here, I mean, the line seems very long. It's sometimes easy to, just trying to find a shortcut. But for those who are here, standing in this long waiting time, maybe missing mom, maybe missing dad, who also had sent them on a journey over here to do, what would you tell those folks?
Well, you got to have patience and trust in God,
Yeah.
And there is, I believe, I know that there's a God up there, and
Mhm.
He's got your plan, and
Yeah.
just trust on Him, and just trust and have patience, because you don't have the plan.
Yeah. That's right.
So, like in my example, I had no plan whatsoever. If I would have had a plan, it would have been something different.
That's right. It may not have worked out the same way.
Stay the course,
Yeah. Luis,
Yeah.
it's always so much fun talking to you. We'll catch up again on the backside, but thank you again so much
My
for
pleasure.
sharing your story with us. There are so many immigrants that we help here on a daily basis. And as part of the journey that we help them through, everybody has the variety of their different challenges, and coming over here and setting up their family over here. But we're reminded with stories like yours that it is, at the end of the day, worth doing. It's worth doing because, America is still the beacon of light. It's still the land of the free and the home of the brave. So with that, I thank you very much, my friend, and God bless you, and go Dodgers.